Hello, this is the Dead Master back again to bring you another video. This time, we're doing 3 true scary stories from Reddit's Let's Not Meet. So without further ado, let's begin. First story, I was the railroad killer's one that got away. Submitted by Whitney Cat. I posted this a while ago in the Let's Not Meet sub, and someone suggested you guys might enjoy it too. This is one of the 2 scariest things that ever happened to me. I was 19, staying late at the college dark room to develop some film for my photography class. The photography building, once a tobacco warehouse, was a dark, rickety hulk near some lonely railroad tracks in a little traveled part of campus. I finished developing my film close to midnight and headed out, nervous as always to be alone at night in this deserted part of town. It was dark. Several of the street lights around the parking lot were out, and the few that remained were phoning it in, putting out a weak, flickery light that did nothing to reassure me as I head towards my car. I heard him before I saw him, a scrape of feet on the asphalt. He said, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" I startled and dropped my keys, and he mumbled an apology for scaring me. "Sorry." I noticed he was wearing a jogging suit and limping. "What do you need?" I said. He hobbled a step or two towards me. "I think I sprained my ankle. Can you take me to the ER?" The university hospital was a short distance down the road. I hesitated. The guy looked perfectly pleasant, and he did seem to be in pain. But I recently finished a book about serial killer Ted Bundy, who lured some of his victims by pretending to have a broken arm and asking for their help carrying books to his car. When they leaned over to put his stuff in the passenger seat of his VW Bug, he knocked them unconscious with a crowbar and stuffed them inside. This scene played across my mind as I looked at the guy. It also occurred to me to wonder why the hell anyone would want to jog in this creepy part of town. "I'm sorry, I can't do that. But I could call someone for you. There's a phone in the photography building there." "There's nobody to call. I just moved here. I don't really know anybody. Can't you just drive me? It's right down Lime Street Avenue." He leaned against a car and winced as he reached down to rub his ankle. "I'll call you an ambulance," I offered. "No, I can't afford that. I don't have health insurance. Can you just drive me? I'll pay you $20. There was something in the way he said this last bit, something wrong. Like that exercise in my acting class where we had to recite "Mary Had a Little Lamb" as though we were delivering a tragic monologue or a furious rant. There was a tone rising up that didn't match the words he was saying, a raw urgency that reached down inside me and hit the panic button hard. There was a moment of silence. "I can't help you," I said. "I'm leaving." I gripped my keys, thinking I might be able to use them as a weapon if he came at me. I kept my eyes on him as I speed walked the last few feet to my car. He watched me drive away, still leaning against that car, a flat expression on his face. Away from the dark parking lot, driving through campus with my music turned up, the fear faded. I started to feel a little guilty for leaving the guy there, although I knew I'd done what my mom and dad would have wanted me to do. I was about to turn into my dorm parking lot when I realized I needed to pick up some stuff for breakfast the next morning. So I turned down and headed back in the direction I'd come. About a minute down the road, my stomach clenched. There was the guy in the jogging suit running along the sidewalk. His ankle was perfectly fine. Later that summer, 2 students at my college were attacked by those same railroad tracks. The girl survived, but her boyfriend died. The man who attacked him was a serial killer dubbed the railroad killer by police. His real name was Angel Resendez. He murdered dozens of people across several states, many of them near railroad tracks. I didn't see his mugshot on TV until years later, but the picture broke me out in the same icy sweat I felt when I saw that guy running down the street. I can't be 100% positive, but my gut tells me I escaped a serial killer that night. Ho, ho, ho. Story 2, College Creeper. Submitted by the Panda's friends. This one is not nearly as creepy as the last one I remember, but it's recent and there's actually a happy ending. Sort. This takes place last semester at my university. Naturally, being broke and a student, what do I do on the weekends? Get drunk and go to a house party, of course. This particular night, my roommates and I all go to this apartment party. The apartment itself is pretty nice. There's a long island in the kitchen area where people are playing beer pong. A lot of people congregate in the living room area, talking, dancing, doing other party things, and some in a long hallway leading to the bathroom. And like most college parties, it was dimly lit. Only the lights in the hallway and the ones over the island were on. We get there pretty drunk and we're having a great time. We played beer pong, caught up with some old friends we hadn't seen in the semester, etc. There was a lot of people I didn't know, but people were friendly for the most part. Still, even in my drunken state, I recognized one kid every time I looked that just seemed out of place. He was wearing a hoodie a bit too big for him, a beanie and baggy pants. Just from his physical appearance alone, he seemed out of sorts, as everyone else was done up, looking relatively clean, put together. His hair was poking out from underneath his beanie. All in all, he looked greasy is what I'm trying to get across here. Normally, I wouldn't notice that kid because as drunk straight college male, other dudes are the least of my concern. But this kid just stood out every time I saw him. He wasn't really dancing, playing beer pong, or talking to people. He just kind of lingered behind this one girl. Admittedly, she was very good looking. She was in a circle of friends, so I figured if you want to try that, best luck to you, weird greasy kid. The next time I looked over, they're talking. Well, shit, that kid wasn't weird. I'm just a judgmental asshole. She isn't all over him, but from what I can tell, things are going well. Good for you, kid, I think to myself as my roommate and I lose another game of beer pong. Finally, it's around 2 a.m. Party is still going, but we're at about half capacity now. I can actually navigate the apartment, pretty much see everyone. At this point, me and my roommate were both keeping an eye out for that kid to see if he was going to be successful in his attempt to woo that young woman. As I searched for the party, I noticed him and the girl on the balcony. I can only see her right shoulder as she leans up against the wall next to the door. He's leaning on his left arm against the door, still talking about something. At this point, me and my drunk roommate casually approach to get a better angle in the scene. This is when I feel uneasy. She was avoiding eye contact with him, constantly looking down at the ground and off into the distance. From what I could tell, she wasn't exactly an active participant in whatever they were talking about. Then he goes in for the kiss and she turns her cheek towards the apartment. Instead of taking the hind, he's now kissing her on the neck. She finally reaches the door, ducks under his arm, and tries to leave. As she's trying to walk back in, he grabs one of her arms, and he's trying to pull her back. She's trying to play it off, laughing under her breath as she tells him to let him go. He's not laughing, he's just glaring at her, trying to pull her back outside. She turns away from him, scanning the room for her friends, I would assume. Then she and I make eye contact. I didn't know her, but I'm a relatively friendly social person, so I give her a confused look, just trying to ask what the fuck is going on, without saying it out loud. She just stared back at me. She looked pretty scared. Okay, so this is actually echo applicable in real life, so if you take anything away from this, just remember this part. I extend my hand towards her, and she grabbed it with her free hand. I pulled her towards me, bringing her in close and wrapping my other arm around her shoulder. Once he realized what was happening, he just sort of let go. I locked eyes with him, and eventually he relented and he walked out. Afterwards, I asked her what was going on, but she had a hard time putting her thoughts together. She wasn't crying or anything, but her voice was shaky, and she was clearly rattled. From her rambling, I gathered this. Well, at first he was very sweet and friendly. Once they were alone, he totally changed. Once they were outside alone, he asked her really sexual questions. Are you a virgin? How many guys have you fucked? What's the biggest dick you had? Etc. When she first tried to leave, he told her she didn't need to find her friends as she was going home with him. Then she actually tried to step out. He held onto her wrist with a deft grip. I can confirm this as she showed me the red marks left on her wrist from how hard he was grabbing her. Once she had settled down a bit, I helped her and her friends, and we went our separate ways. So, weird, greasy kid, let's not meet. And the last story. My great aunt's let's not meet moment. My great aunt is 96 years old and is in great shape. Oh, and this is submitted by Stop Staring Gave to Me Swan 4. My great aunt is 96 years old and she's in great shape. She's around 5 foot tall and skinny. She walks her dog every night, and she told me about an encounter she had recently. It was around 9 o'clock p.m. and dark out. It is winter time, so she was wearing a big coat and a hat. She was walking her dog in the van that had been parked on the street turned on after she passed it. It slowly drove up behind her, and as it passed, she heard a male voice say, "Never mind, I thought she was young." Then the van drove away and didn't come back. She called the cops, but didn't watch the license plate, so the cop told her there was nothing they could do. So van creepers, let's hope you never meet anyone ever again. So, those were 3 true scary stories from the Let's Not Meet Reddit. I hope you enjoyed them. You guys have a good night and stay spooky. This is the Dead Master signing off.